This video shows you how to install flexible solar panels on semi-truck hoods. This one is applied on a 2018 Cascadia. Most hoods are very similar in shape and curvature, so you should be able to apply this idea into other semi-trucks as well. The first thing that you do is you clean up the surface and make sure that there's no bugs or any kind of wax on it. So once you get it cleaned up using rubbing alcohol and cloth or paper towel, mark the center line from the top of the hood to the bottom. In this case, I am using a chalk line, but feel free to use any other method to find your center point. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna blend the two panels together on a bench. In my case, I'm using a wheelbarrow, and we're gonna put them together. I didn't get a chance to record it, but make sure you prep the back of this as well by cleaning it up with rubbing alcohol and wiping it down. Make sure that it's good for adhesive purposes. I didn't have to sand anything down or rough it up because it's good enough as it was. So make sure that it's completely dry before you apply the duct tape. What I'm using here is Gorilla 4-inch wide, and get this as straight of a line as you can between the two panels, because once you put them together, it leaves quite a bit of a residue to be able to get it off. So I was comparing two different brands. One is a T-Rex and the other one's Gorilla. The T-Rex will wipe off cleaner if you do remove the duct tape in comparison to the Gorilla. And if you're gonna ask which one holds down a whole lot better, it is the Gorilla duct tape. The next thing we're gonna do is attach double-sided foam tape on staggered sections of the solar panel here. You wouldn't want to have the whole surface making in contact with the hood, because it has to have some airflow for the water, heat, and air to get through from point A to point B. And it will make sense as we go through the video. The next step here is to mount the solar panel onto the hood itself using just the double-sided adhesive. It helps to have another person with you, but you can do the whole thing by yourself. And once you have it up and put together, the only tape that I have is going to be just the backside, and it holds both panels together. It's a really good product. And I'm going to be using the chalk line to center up the solar panel with the top of the hood to the bottom of the hood, and press it in just enough so that way it will make contact. The next thing what I'm gonna do is you're gonna wanna soften up the sharp curves that the hood has. And what we're gonna do is put a padding in between, so that way you're not gonna have a sharp bend on the solar panel. If you have too much of a sharp bend, it is a bigger possibility that you're going to create micro cracks in your solar panel. And look this up on Google. It's called the hotspot or burn marks on the solar panel. So if you put some padding where the sharp bends are going to be able to kind of make it more of a gradual curve when you put tape on, it'll decrease the chances of you having a hot spot on your solar panel. Ask me how I know. So if we're going to have an air gap between the solar panel and the hood, the air and heat has to escape somewhere. Now, what I'm doing here is in the center of the hood. You can place this wherever you want. It has to have some kind of an exit towards the upper part of where the air would be flowing through, because heat rises. So you want to keep it where you're going to have the highest point. And in my case, again, I just did the center. You can put one on each side closer to the corner if you want. And what this does is that whenever I'm driving through or when the heat builds up, it has a way to escape for the air or the heat. Next thing we're doing is going to be just installing the sides for the left and right. And as you are patting down on the duct tape, make sure you work from the top to the bottom. That means that you're going to have a much more even surface as you are pressing the rest of the tape onto the hood. So you have a way for the heat and the air to escape on the top. What we're gonna do here is install the same material at the bottom. In this case, I'm doing it on both ends. This is a way for any water that gets in to escape. So that's one of the big things, is that even if you get this ultra perfect, there is still gonna be some way, somehow, that water's gonna get in there eventually. And when you have too much water build up and not a way for it to escape, it will start to lift your solar panel and or your duct tape up. So make sure you install this and do not skip this step. Once you have put them in place, we're gonna put duct tape all around this, and we're gonna cut around the bus bar. I think that's what this thing is called around the solar panel. I don't recall. But anyways, we're gonna cut around that and finish up. Next thing is we're gonna use a straight edge to be able to get us clean cuts for the excess material that we have for the front end of the duct tape. And we're gonna install the last piece of duct tape in the center, again from top to bottom. I didn't get a chance to record this just because I did have some pre-drilled holes for the wire. And what you're gonna come across once you drill through your hood is the top portion is gonna be fiberglass and the bottom is gonna be steel. Be sure that you spray paint or coat it with paint for the metal part so it doesn't rust. Cut the ends off and then tuck them in. It might take a little bit of a effort to be able to push them in. Just make sure that your drill hole's big enough for the wire to go through. This was done before by me and I didn't record it the first time. And what I will show you though is part of the wiring that I've done for the hood. And as you can tell, I've done the roof part on it before. I am gonna redo it eventually to make it look more aesthetically pleasing, but for now, we'll deal with it. And just make sure you observe how you've done and give yourself a pat on the back for now. The rest of this is gonna be through the wiring process. And if you've not done your research on it, make sure you wanna install an inline Schottky diode and a fuse line right there. In this case, I have a 15 amp fuse and some quick disconnects.